Hey everyone, this is the Weekend Movie Blog. I am your host Joey Clark. It is Friday, January the 6th, 2017. And speaking of 2017, this will be my general list of what will be the most anticipated films of 2017, as well as mentioning some other films that didn't quite make the list, but I'm excited to see what will happen with them. So, just to start off with that list itself, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales will be the fifth installment of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. We have Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley returning as their respective roles as Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann. I feel that this is a great move on the studio's part because I felt like the storyline has definitely relied more on Johnny Depp's character Jack Sparrow. He was great in the first film as more of a background character where the main story focused more on Will and Elizabeth. I thought the comedic element of him was great, and then it just kind of flip-flopped into this beating over the head of Sparrow's comedy. So with their return, I look forward to the film. I'm optimistic but also very skeptical, so that's why I didn't make it into the top 10. Another one that's coming out next year that didn't quite make it is Justice League. I'm losing a little bit faith in the DCU. I want their movies to be great. Batman vs. Superman was a disappointment for many. I didn't even watch it because of the backlash it received, and a college student isn't going to waste their money on something that most people seem to dislike and discredit. I did take a risk on Suicide Squad, and I liked it a lot more than most critics did. And in some ways, yeah, it was a disappointment, but not a disappointment in performances by the actors in any means. Margot Robbie stood out really well as Harley Quinn, and Will Smith did excellent as Deadshot. Those two performances are absolutely phenomenal. With Justice League, I just hope they do the characters justice. No pun intended. But the DCU needs to get its act together because I don't want to see shit superhero movies. I love Marvel, I love DC. I just want to see them both crank out great stuff. And speaking of Marvel, Thor Ragnarok. At first I was going to put this on my list, but then I thought about it for a couple moments. And with the way that Thor, The Dark World turned out, I was really disappointed in how flat and kind of boring the movie was overall. Because the first time I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, another Thor movie was great. And then I watched it again, and I was like, this is crap for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What happened with this particular story? I just felt it just kind of dragged on and felt like a story that you wanted to beat the hell out of to wake it up because it just felt that flat. And with the latest reports saying, and a lot of speculation being confirmed, that Hulk is going to have a major part in Thor Ragnarok, and some are assuming that it's going to be like a buddy comedy between Mark Ruffalo, the Hulk, Bruce Banner, and Chris Hemsworth being Thor. So I hope in some sense we get that. I just hope it's not too campy and that there's still some very serious undertones. And I look forward to seeing what they're going to do with Thor, but remain very skeptical. Next movie on my list, a lot of people probably give me a lot of crap for this one, but Coco. It's supposed to be based around the Latino tradition of Dia de los Muertos, or as some of us know, Day of the Dead. The only reason that this one didn't make my list is because there's not a whole lot known about this film. Pixar usually turns out really great material, and since it's a newer franchise to Pixar, is the only reason I'm holding back. I still look forward to seeing it. I will see it opening weekend, and I'm sure it'll make my top 10 best of the year list. By no means is this list all going to make my top 10 because these are just my anticipated films. I hope the best for these films, and I hope most of them end up there, but I'm not going to guarantee anything. And moving on to Pixar, one that did make my top 10 that I know a lot of people have lost faith in is Cars 3. The Cars franchise has had a lot of ups and downs over the years since the first film. First film, a lot of people didn't care for it and usually put it at their bottom of favorite Pixar movies or least favorite Pixar movies. And I loved it. It's honestly one of my favorite Pixar films. It's just that nostalgic factor with the elements of Route 66 all tying into these small town characters and a big shot, Lightning McQueen. I just felt it was great. But the sequel, Cars 2, it seemed to lose perspective on what the original Cars movie set out to do. It seemed more like a straight-to-DVD kind of feel, and Mater was the main focus, and I have no idea why they decided to do that. It just seemed terrible. And I thought there were some good spots in it, but it wasn't worthy of the Pixar name in any means. But seeing the teaser trailer that was released at the latter part of last year, I'm looking forward to it because it seems like it's definitely going to have a darker tone. Lightning McQueen gets wrecked in that teaser trailer for any of you that don't know. And I think it's one of those movies that kind of grows with the audience, much like with Toy Story 3. There was that, a bit of a spoiler. There was that scene where it almost seems like our characters are about to all perish. And there's that strong moment where it could feel like the end, and then they're saved. And it had a lot going for it as far as a lot of people love the Toy Story movies. A lot of people followed it from a young age and into their young adulthood, I included. So I felt that trilogy of movies did a great job with that. And I also looked forward to Toy Story 4, but going back to my initial thing with Cars 3, the story needs to be rich. It needs to focus on Lightning McQueen again, his struggle with whatever is going to be thrown at him. And don't make it too campy, but still have that Pixar charm. I feel the last movie was more of a cash grab because they saw how successful Cars was, both in the box office and in merchandising, because Cars has made a lot of money for the mouse. So, as long as Pixar puts the brakes on a bit, develops the story, and doesn't try and push it out too quickly, I think it'll be a great film. Alright, number 9, Kong Skull Island. When I watched the trailer, my breath was taken away, and it was amazing visually and just overall stunning. We've seen the traditional storyline of King Kong in multiple renditions, the most recent one being Peter Jackson's King Kong. I felt that one was great. The only thing is it seemed that the storyline kind of ran on a little bit too long. And we know the storyline, or most of us do. With this film, it's going to be something completely different that we have never seen before. And I feel that's why I'm really looking forward to it. And then there's also great acting talent. Tom Hiddleston from Thor and the Avengers movies, and Marvel as Loki. And then you have Samuel L. Jackson, who I'm a little worried about in the sense that sometimes he tends to overact or just kind of throws in the towel and just picks up a paycheck. Hopefully he won't do that in this movie, and he'll serve a great purpose. That's what I hope for the most. And the way that they made Kong appear visually, I think might be one of the best. I mean, technology has certainly come a long way with CGI since Peter Jackson's Kong, but this one looks pretty badass. Number 8, we got Spider-Man Homecoming, and for really good reasons. I mean, Tom Holland embodies the look and tone of what both Peter Parker and Spider-Man embody as a whole, because, I mean, he is this young kid, he just wants to do good, and he wants to bring the franchise its due diligence, because, I mean, we've already had 2 different renditions of the Spider-Man franchise. First, we had Sam Raimi's first 2 Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, and they were all right. Well, more than all right. They were really good. The only problem I have really with the second one is Doc Ock was a bit... not as sinister as I would have liked to have them. I know that kids do go to the films, and that franchise in particular didn't pay close attention to the comic book sources, and that's why they did the later reboot with Andrew Garfield as the Amazing Spider-Man. But I think the thing that Spider-Man Homecoming needs to do is don't worry so much on backstory of your villains and just make it badass. Michael Keaton's going to be playing Vulture, and I look forward to him returning to the superhero genre because he did a great Batman alongside Jack Nicholson's Joker. And with him being the bad guy in this sense, he has the look, he has the acting talent. I want to see him kick ass in this movie. And Tom Holland did a great job in Captain America Civil War. He is the Spider-Man that I think that the fans deserve. And even for those few moments in that movie that he was in it, or few scenes that he was in it, he did a great job. He played the role of both Peter Parker and Spider-Man to what I see him as. I know some people have some gripes about his costuming, or the costume that Spider-Man is wearing in the trailers, but I think it's a really great costume. At first I was a little bit on edge with it, but when I see the trailer on the big screen, you see more detail into it. I think it's just when you see the trailer on smaller screens like laptops and cell phones, you don't get the full grasp of what he actually looks like. But seeing the trailer in a theater more recently, I thought it was an amazing costume overall, and I'm really happy that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be back as Iron Man, to be somewhat of a mentor to Peter Parker / Spider-Man, and to see those two together to kind of tie in the whole MCU. It's not just going to be an origin story, because we've already seen Tony Stark and Peter Parker interact, and I think that's a really great thing, because we're not backpedaling to try and explain, oh, this is so-and-so. We already know who Spider-Man is. We already know who Peter Parker is. Sure, we're going to get some key elements of this particular Peter Parker and Spider-Man that maybe the other films didn't go over, or they strayed away from. But we know who this character is, and I'm glad that the studio isn't going to backpedal, like I said earlier. Number 7, Beauty and the Beast. The tale is old as time. Dan Stevens and Emma Watson as the Beast and Belle, I believe, complement each other very well. Their chemistry looks good from the trailer that we got. It's coming out in March, and thankfully a week before my birthday exactly. And I will probably be there opening night if they have a release, because I really want to see what Disney does with this film in particular. And there's been some discrepancies with the live action films that they've done before. Like with Alice in Wonderland was absolute shit. Maleficent was just, it didn't need to be made. Neither one of those did. It was just god-awful. But then you see Cinderella, and last year with Jungle Book and Pete's Dragon, people loved it. I only got to see Jungle Book because I heard critics raving about it. Cinderella I didn't watch only because I wasn't really in the loop to really want to watch it. And then Pete's Dragon, I loved the original, and I was really worried that they would mess it up. So I kind of passed it by. But from what I've heard, it's pretty good, and that Disney nailed it on the head. So Beauty and the Beast, I think Disney has finally found a formula to make great live-action renditions, to stay close to the source material and put a little bit of original thought into it, but still maintaining that respectful element to the past. And I was worried about Emma Watson playing Belle, because she's a great actress by all aspects. I just was worried if I was going to be able to distinguish her as Belle, or if I'm just going to see Hermione Granger dressed up as Belle. And she is Belle. and that's a wonderful thing that she brings to the table as playing this role, because if I saw her as Hermione, I would just be thinking the entire time, this is some interesting parody of Beauty and the Beast, but they crafted her role to be amazing, and she's just an amazing actress overall, so I see nothing but good things for Emma Watson from here on out. I can't wait to see her rendition as Belle, and Dan Stevens as the Beast. I do have a little problem with the way that some of the characters' appearances in the film, as far as just the overall look, or like the inanimate objects like Lumiere, the candlestick, and then Cogsworth, the clock, and even the Beast himself, because they seem a little unrealistic, and I know that it's a fairy tale and it's not supposed to be ultra realistic, but it seemed a little janky to me, but hopefully that'll be fixed up in post, or I can push past it with their performances, because both Dan Stevens, Emma Watson, and then all the voice acting talent in this film is superb by far. Alright, number 6, Kingsman: The Golden Circle. The first one was absolutely great, and there was rumors for a long time that Matthew Vaughn, the original director of Kingsman: The Secret Service, was going to be leaving the franchise and not returning, but thankfully he will be returning, along with the same producers of Adam Bowling, David Reed, and Vaughn himself. And Matthew Vaughn's also writing the script again, which is amazing, because the last film definitely was one of my highlights of that year. And I saw the trailer for it, and I didn't understand what it was at first, or what it was going to be. And I regret not watching it in the theater, because I thought it was just going to be something totally lame and just be a really bad parody of James Bond. But it's the ultimate parody of James Bond in a lot of aspects. There's a lot of violence, and there's a lot of great action. There's a lot of funny comedic moments in the original one. I have no doubt the second one's going to perform, maybe even outperform the original, but I can't wait for it to come out. It's a movie that definitely pushes the limits in some regards, as far as violence and gratuitous gore a little bit. And then I have a lot of faith in Taron Egerton as Eggsy. For the first film, it was good to have someone like Colin Firth playing as somewhat of a mentor to Taron Egerton's character Eggsy, because Colin Firth, as we all know, very well-known actor. Taron Egerton is more of an upcoming actor, but he's proved himself many times already, even in films that were kind of crappy, in my opinion, like Eddie the Eagle. I thought he did phenomenal in. It was raved about by many critics, and kid knows his stuff. He was even up to play the role of Han Solo in the Han Solo spin-off film, standalone by Lucasfilm in the Star Wars franchise. So this is someone that's definitely going to be watched over in Hollywood for a while, as long as he keeps putting the same effort into his roles. And I have no doubt he'll bring it to this movie as well. The only thing I think I'm really concerned about for Kingsman: Golden Circle is the additions of big names like Channing Tatum and Jeff Bridges and Halle Berry, who are playing the Statesman, which is the American equivalent of the Kingsman. Because if it's oversaturated with a lot of big names, if it'll take away from the focus of the story, are people just going to be too blindsided by the fact that, oh, there's Channing Tatum, oh, there's Jeff Bridges, oh, there's Halle Berry, and then is it going to be where their placement is unnecessary, and it's just, hey, we got bigger names since Colin Firth isn't going to be as much involved in this one, and now we're resting it on this kid, so let's throw in a few names like Tatum and Bridges and Berry. I hope that's not the case. I hope that they play really good roles in the film. I hope it's not overkill with names like that. But overall, I'm looking really forward to Kingsman: The Golden Circle, and I will probably be there opening weekend for sure for this film. Alright, and then going up down from our top 5 to 1, Logan. First rated R Wolverine film. a lot of people have been wanting this, and finally it's going to be delivered to the fans. Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart to reprise their roles of Wolverine/Logan and Professor Xavier. The trailer was breathtaking, and it makes you feel like this film is definitely going to have some high stakes into it, and that the world is resting upon Logan's shoulders once again. That you don't know if this is going to be the last time that we see Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. I know that he said in the past that he's not going to continue on with it. Not because he doesn't like it, because you can tell he has a passion and devotion for the franchise. If anything, I think he's mentioned before that he's been worried about his ability to play the character because of the physical strength that it taxes on his body. I mean, he's getting up there in age. I mean, very healthy man overall, but I mean, I can understand that and respect that if he wants to give it to someone younger who can take on the extra stress of strength training and exercise. But I think the thing that really made the trailer, besides the really great visuals captured, was how they incorporated Johnny Cash's version of the Nine Inch Nails song "Hurt." That it had this really good slow climactic build-up to just the reveal of Logan pulling out the claws and smashing someone in the face with it. Or at least that's what it looks like he's doing. And I hope they use the song in the film, because I feel if they did that into a certain battle scene or something, that it would really make the film just a great experience overall. They don't need to do that. It's just something that I would like to see. And Logan, why it also made my top 5, it seems like a great combination of a Western and a superhero film. And it seems really like off-the-radar outlaw type of storyline, and I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to see Hugh Jackman kick ass and see Patrick Stewart kill it as Professor Xavier. Alright, my number 4, War for the Planet of the Apes. This was a film franchise that I hopped on literally a few weeks ago. I was always skeptical about watching the films, the first 2, and I regret it so much right now, because the films are amazing. First one I thought was good. The second one I thought was even better. Matt Reeves, who directed the second one and he's directing the third one, made an awesome second installment. And it's really hard for sequels to follow up their predecessors, but there are some out there. Definitely, like James Cameron's Terminator 2, for sure, is, I feel, a far better film than the first. And Empire Strikes Back to Star Wars. The second film in the Planet of the Apes franchise was amazing. There's no denying it. And Andy Serkis's performance as Caesar, the main ape, is just outstanding. The conviction that he uses in motion capture. He's pretty much the trademark face of motion capture, which is kind of funny to say because obviously you don't see his own face, but his voice and the gravitas that he brings to every single performance is above reproach. He's just an amazing actor overall, and I'm glad to see him playing in these bigger roles that really strike people in an emotional sense. And then to have Woody Harrelson as the main antagonist in this film, and seeing him from the trailer, he's out for blood. They're both fighting for what they believe to be right. Caesar has always been, from the movies, one not to want to fight. He's the one that wants peace and will extend the olive branch and will give humans a second chance. He's done with that crap. He's done. He's tired of it. He knows what he has to do. He doesn't want to do it, but he will if he has to. Woody Harrelson feels the exact same way. I believe that the most dangerous villains and the best of antagonists are the ones that believe they're doing right. That they don't necessarily think what they're doing is bad, but they think that they're right. And I feel that's what Woody Harrelson's character is going to definitely embody in this movie. And Caesar's going to think exactly the same way. But the Apes movies have always distinguished the apes as being more of the ones looking for peace, looking for harmony, and the humans as these devastating creatures. I believe this will probably go down as one of the greatest movie trilogies, up there with Lord of the Rings, up there with Star Wars, and up there with Indiana Jones. And I say Indiana Jones because, that fourth movie was a piece of shit, and I don't consider it to be an Indiana Jones film. Sorry, Steven. But, like I said, War for the Planet of the Apes I'm looking forward to. Will be a great summer blockbuster, and you'll expect me there opening night because I really want to see this installment of the franchise. And if it closes it, and it's great, I'll be on my knees thanking Matt Reeves for an awesome round-off to a great trilogy. Number 3, Wonder Woman. So why put Wonder Woman and not Justice League? I'll tell you why. Gal Gadot, or Gal Gadot, however you people say it, fits the role perfectly. She is a woman that is a great actress in many aspects. In many of the roles that she plays, she's the kind of take charge, strong, feminine woman that surprises a lot of people and don't expect her to necessarily be, but she is. And I feel that completely embodies the kind of character that Wonder Woman is. And I'm looking forward to seeing how she takes the film as a whole. I know a lot of people criticize Batman v Superman and her part in that. I'm not going to blame Gal Gadot for that because that whole movie was a train wreck for the most part. I mean, there was some good storylines, as some people have said, and they still want to criticize Wonder Woman in that movie, but really, from what I've heard about that film, I think everyone should really be criticized on that one. And I hope that she's really just the main focus of this movie. I know Chris Pine is cast to be Steve Trevor, her love interest. I just hope that they rely more on Gal Gadot to be the central focus of this film, because I want a Wonder Woman movie to be focused on Wonder Woman. I don't want Steve Trevor to be taking over at any point. Sure, she's a woman and most people don't expect her to be in charge. It's like, she's a fucking superhero. It's named after her. Make the movie about her. I feel that oftentimes in our society we allow it to get to our heads that the woman needs to say, no, let Wonder Woman kick ass, let her save Chris Pine's life a couple times in the movie, and let her just be badass. Yeah, Steve Trevor, he's a airman, but she's a superhero. Let her be a superhero. I don't want to see it where, oh, Diana's in distress. No, Wonder Woman's going to be kicking ass and saving Steve Trevor's life, I hope. And another thing with this movie, it will be definitely a determining factor on where the DCEU is going to move on from here on out, because if Wonder Woman fails and tanks it, what's it going to say about Justice League and proceeding onward in the DCEU? You can't have a few failed films and have people still following you. Warner Brothers needs to get their act together and needs to get just their house in order, because they're trying to play catch up to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and there's just no way you can do that. It's been active for almost a decade now. You're not going to do it. Play your stories out, let them develop, and stop trying to play catch up. Yeah, it sucks that you came to the party late, but so what? Make great films, don't make pieces of shit that people hate, because no one's going to keep falling for your crap over and over again. Just because you slap the name Batman on it doesn't mean it's a good film. Just like with Michael Bay. If you slap Transformers on it, yeah, it made $1 billion. It doesn't mean it's a good film. People will still go out and watch it. That's their opinion if they like it. But my opinion is those films are totally shit. I think Transformers The Last Knight's probably going to be a crappy movie. Trailer sucked, and usually Transformers trailers are good, but this one sucks, so maybe it'll have the opposite effect and the movie will be good. But that's just my little tangent. The Wonder Woman trailer, going back on target, was phenomenal. The only problem I had with the Wonder Woman trailer had nothing to do with her and nothing to do with Chris Pine. It was the very last ending scene where a character just made a joke, and it just seemed so ill-placed because you have all these great action scenes and then you end on that, and it makes me a little worried that if they're going to put comedy into this, even in small aspects, if it's going to take you out of the film, I hope that the trailer was just cut terribly at the end and that it's not going to reveal anything like that in the film. I pray about that because I want this film to be great. I love Marvel. I want to love DC. So please do Wonder Woman justice. She deserves it. It's been a character for decades now. Please make Wonder Woman great. And then number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I fully believe that this will probably be the best superhero movie of this year. James Gunn, director, writer, turned an unknown property into a smash hit amongst audiences, and that's extremely rare to do. Yes, it's Marvel, but it doesn't mean it's going to do well. We've seen that with Fantastic Four. Yeah, it's helmed by Fox Studios, but Fantastic Four is Marvel. The movie was shit. It was garbage. It was absolutely terrible. I have a guilty pleasure in liking the first rendition that Fox released in the early 2000s, where we had Chris Evans as the Human Torch. And it's kind of funny to think about now because he's Captain America and he's playing the complete opposite of what that character was. But Guardians of the Galaxy, it's the most kind of buddy comedy film in the superhero genre to date, and it's just overall a great mixture of comedy and action and seriousness combined together. And there's nothing that hinders me from wanting to already love the film, even though I haven't seen it. I can't wait to see it. Hopefully I'll get into an early screening for it because I want to rave about this film and tell you all about it. I mean, our beloved team is back again, and better than ever by the trailer's views. Chris Pratt as Star-Lord and Peter Quill. Zoe Saldana as Gamora, Vin Diesel as Groot, Dave Bautista as Drax, and Bradley Cooper as Rocket. I can't wait to see the back and forth between all of them. Because the first movie they did great, but it even seems like their chemistry's grown since then. So yeah, I have no reservations whatsoever about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 being good. It's just going to be a phenomenal film. I can feel it. James Gunn, thank you for bringing this cinematic property to light because it's such a wonderful film. And if you haven't seen it, go see the first one. Tell me what you think. Alright, and my number 1, and this has no bias whatsoever, I swear, is Star Wars Episode 8, and full title to be announced, hopefully in the near future, because they said that title's supposed to drop in the first quarter of the season, so hopefully within the next couple months we'll get that title, and the trailer is supposedly supposed to drop then too. Even without bias, this is going to be my most anticipated film, as I said. Why? It's Star Wars. That's all you really need to say. But even it just being Star Wars, The Force Awakens had such a build-up to it that whether the film was good or bad, people were going to want to know how these characters serve the story in this universe. The film stands on its own merit, even though there are some callbacks to The Force Awakens, and I think it really needed that because people needed something that they were familiar with to break away from the prequels, to go back to practical effects. And granted, there's a lot of CGI. It's even been reported there's more CGI in The Force Awakens than there was in The Phantom Menace. However, it's just a lot better since the technology is there now. And Ryan Johnson heading up as director, Lucasfilm has enough confidence to place him as a screenwriter for Episode 9, so that gives me a lot of confidence that they picked the right man to do this. I know that he's been helmed as a really great director for projects like Looper, which is kind of his baby, and then another movie he did called Brick. I haven't seen them personally. I just know that people really love them, and I will see them at some point to gauge how I feel he'll handle the Star Wars installment. But to already place a director as a screenwriter for both 8 and 9 tells me that Lucasfilm has great confidence in this man, and that they're prepared to stand alongside him. And then they even had J.J. Abrams serving as an executive producer on 8. So Lucasfilm has its house in order, unlike DC. Sorry. But I think with that confidence and having that tight-knit, woven group of people will bring about a film that the audience will love. This will be the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy, I hope. Empire is the standard for Star Wars films. I wouldn't say the standard. It is the pinnacle of Star Wars films. And I don't know if we'll ever get anything better than that film. However, the goal isn't to make anything better than Empire, or to even throw a bunch of nods to it. This film cannot be like The Force Awakens. It cannot have a bunch of nods to Empire. It needs to stand on its own. It has to have a completely original storyline. If you're going to have a couple nods, make them very subtle. That's all I would have to say to make this probably end up being one of the greatest films next year. This year. Sorry, still in the 2016 mind track. You know how it is when you're writing 2016 to fucking 2017 on the paper. But Episode 8, everyone's anticipating this to be amazing because they look at the original trilogy and they feel a lot of the same energy going into that as they are into this. And we're not even going to talk about the prequel trilogy. If anyone wants to know if I'm a sympathizer, in some aspects, yes. George, we know that you tried to make it look good. You just didn't make it sound good or anything else really good. Story elements, good if you write a 2-page synopsis. Acting and directing, not so good. But Ryan Johnson, I wish you the best of luck. I know that you'll do phenomenal in this film. And thank God that Episode 8 is going to be composed, or the score is going to be composed by John Williams, because I didn't care for Michael Giacchino's score on Rogue One. I didn't think it felt like Star Wars to me. I know the guy only had 4 weeks, and I don't blame him for that. But Star Wars needs John Williams. I'm not saying they need him forever, but he is the embodiment of why Star Wars worked in the first place. Without the music of John Williams, just really think of how Star Wars would have turned out if you used somebody else. You wouldn't have that amazing theme. You wouldn't have the Imperial March or so many other classic songs. And I think that this film has everything going for it. You have the great acting of Daisy Ridley as Rey, John Boyega as Finn, Oscar Isaac as Poe, and then you have Mark Hamill returning as Luke Skywalker, which is another great part about this. We get to see more Luke Skywalker and unravel the mystery of what the hell he's been doing for so long alone. And this film's going to probably heavily rely on the relationship between Rey and Luke, whether that's father and daughter, father and who knows, maybe an embodiment of the Force that he just cared for. Maybe it's Obi-Wan's granddaughter and Luke's offspring somehow. Hell, she might be like Snoke's vestigial twin. But this is just going to be an overall great film. Ryan Johnson, like I said, is going to beat the hell out of this franchise with greatness, and his mark is going to be legendary. I hope that it's going to be as good as Empire or even better. But as long as we get a great quality film, I won't be disappointed. And I will be making a final thoughts on Carrie Fisher thing because she finished up her role in episode 8 before she passed away. I've just been kind of neglecting it because it's been really hard for me personally not to get super emotional, so I think I'm in that rational state of mind. But yeah, this has been my top 10, just to round down again. Some mentions that didn't make the list: Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales, Justice League, Thor Ragnarok, and Coco. And then top 10 from bottom to top. Number 10, Cars 3. Number 9, Kong Skull Island. Number 8, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 7, Beauty and the Beast. Number 6, Kingsman the Golden Circle. Number 5, Logan. Number 4, War for the Planet of the Apes. Number 3, Wonder Woman. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And number 1, Star Wars Episode 8, title to be announced. Thank you for listening. This is my first time doing this, so thanks for sticking with me if you listened to this far. I hope to grow with you guys out there and gals, and that just have a really good time, and thanks for being a supporter on the Weekend Movie Blog. I will be figuring things out as time goes on. Hopefully I'll be able to get a video set up at some point, even though that might scare you with my ugly mug. You'll just have to deal with it, or just turn the computer away and listen. Or if you hate my voice, this is the wrong place for you, and just read the stuff I write. Or if you hate my writing, well, you're in the wrong place, buddy. Alright. Best of luck to you guys, and have a great weekend. Oh, and if you're wondering about any good weekend movies, check out Star Wars Rogue One if you hadn't seen it. Or go to your local budget theater. There's some really good movies out still in the budget theaters. Edge of 17 is one I definitely recommend. That's the first review I did if you want to scroll down. Really good film overall. Kind of like a John Hughes film, but with more edge. And then don't see Sing because it's just a shit knockoff of characters that are animals that sing, and it looks like Zootopia had a really bad musical. Don't see Assassin's Creed because if you're a fan of the game, it's just going to destroy your overall experience playing that game ever again. I've heard a lot of gamers hate it and that it's totally disrespectful to the game, so don't see it if you want to live through a couple hours of that. Go ahead. You're going to probably regret it. Yeah, that's all I can say. So have a good time at the theaters this weekend and stay safe. Bye.